Hi there, my name's Johnny. Welcome to this VideoScribe tutorial. This is the first tutorial in our core series, and what I'm going to show you today is how to create your first scribe. So VideoScribe is a whiteboard animation tool that allows you to add lots of different items to our whiteboard canvas. You can move around the canvas, you can add voiceovers and soundtracks, and then you can create videos that use various animation and drawing effects to take your audience through your story or your message in a really visual, engaging way. So if you haven't already done so, you can go to our website, VideoScribe.co, and you can download the free trial, or you can upgrade to the full pro version. Once you've got that installed and running, you'll come to this login screen here, and you need to enter your email address and password that you used when you registered. And then to go in, you need to click on the tick button down here. This then takes you into the project screen. So here you'll see all your saved scribes. You can scroll back and forward either using the mouse wheel, or we've got these page buttons down here. There's also various sort options here. You can create folders to organize your projects, or you can save them online, which I'll be showing you a little bit later. But what we want to do for now is go straight in and create our first scribe. So we're going to click on this icon here. This brings us into the main edit screen. So at the top we've got the toolbar. At the bottom there's a timeline, and in the middle we've got the canvas area. So like I was saying, the canvas is like a giant whiteboard area. It stretches out in all directions, so you're only seeing a very small portion of it here. And you can use this to add your elements onto that and move around as you need to as you develop your project. So what I'm going to do next is show you how you add on your elements. So that's images and text elements, and how you can position them and manipulate them on the canvas. So looking at the toolbar, we've got a group of icons here. So the first one is to add your image. So I click on that. This gives us lots of options here. So we can either search for an image. We can also use our recently used in the middle here. And also at the bottom, we've got options to import images either by browsing or by looking at the web. So we're going to show you that on a later tutorial. For now, what I want to do is show you the library. So VideoScribe comes with a whole library full of all sorts of images, so you don't need to sort of create your own images. You can just go straight in and start using the images that are there. They're divided down into all these different folders. You can see some of these say online on them, so these are obviously only available when you're online, but the first ones are available all the time. So you can go into any of these folders, you can search through the images, see what you can find. If you see an image you like, you can right click on it, and then you can click preview, and then you can see exactly how this one's going to be drawn. So automatically VideoScribe knows how to draw all of these images. The hand will come in and draw it for you, so you don't have to worry about that at all. What we're going to do is go into the people folder, and we're going to look for a person who's using a computer, and we're going to try and find one. So I think we use this one. So when you click on that, it goes straight in on the canvas, and you can then click and drag it around to position it. You can use the buttons on the corners and edges to resize. And if you click and hold in the middle, you can also rotate the image. Now that I've placed an image onto the canvas, you can see down in the timeline we've got our first event. So on the left, we've got a thumbnail of the image, and on the right you can see that this is a draw event. So by default, VideoScribe will draw each of the elements. So that's the way that they're introduced onto the canvas. Underneath that, you can see a time in seconds. So this is how long it's going to take VideoScribe to draw out the image. So you can increase this, so it takes longer, or you can decrease it, in which case the hands are just going to move faster in order to get the image drawn in less time. What you can also do is click on this button, which takes you into the image properties. Okay, so here we've got lots and lots of options about how you can control how this image looks and how it's animated. I'm not going to go through these all in detail now, as we'll be covering these as we go through the different tutorials. But you can see at the top we've got the different animate methods. So like I said, at the moment we're using the draw animate method, and that's what we're going to be focusing on at first. Underneath this we've got various options, so we can change the brush effect or the color effect, or how solid or transparent the image is. This one here shows you the rotation. So you might have noticed, it might have been bugging you that I left the image a little bit wonky on the canvas. That actually was on purpose, because you can also change the rotation here, and this is the way you can actually be quite accurate in how you position your images. So I'll line that up again. We've also got a flip button, so if you need it to be the other way around, upside down, there's different flip options. If you click it 4 times, it then goes back to the original orientation for you. Look at the bottom, we've then got some timings. We're going to be focusing on the animate time for now, and that's the same one that we were just looking at in the event before. So we can change the animate time here as well, either using these buttons which change the timings in half-second jumps, or if we click on it, we can actually just type in a figure. So I'm going to put 3.5 seconds there. So carrying on round, you can see we've also got a preview screen here. So as you're making changes, you can quickly click on the preview button just to see how those changes look. When you're happy with that, you then click on the tick to accept that. Okay, so there's my first image, and I'm going to just position it over here. I'm now going to add a second element, and this time I'm going to create a text element. So that's the next button along. If I click that, I can immediately type in the text I want. And here we can also change the font and the color. So there's various fonts we can use. I'm going to stick with the basic default font at the moment, but later on we'll show you how you can actually change the font. So I am going to go into the color option though. So here we've got a nice color palette. We can choose any of these colors, and I'm going to choose this one here. Okay, so when you click the tick, it comes onto the canvas again, and like before, we can move it around, we can expand it, and we can rotate it. So we can now see a second event down in the timeline, and I'm just going to use this option here to quickly change the time there, bring that down a little bit. And to complete this first scene, what I want to do is just add a third element, and that's going to be another text element. So I'll go in here and type in my next bit of text. Like so. And again, I'll use the default font, and I'll use the same color here. Right, so let's just position that where we want it. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go into the text properties for this third element. So these are very similar to the image properties, but in this area you'll see we've got a few different options. We can still make the text slightly transparent if we want to. I'm going to center this text here, and again we've got the rotation, and I'm just going to take the time of this one down to about 3 seconds. So that's okay. So that's my first scene there. I've got 3 elements there. I'm happy with that. We can select these elements on the canvas, like so, or similarly we can also click on them down in the timeline as well. The timeline dictates the order in which the events will happen, the order in which they'll be introduced onto the canvas. Now the way VideoScribe works is it's going to build up layers, so images and text are going to appear on top of each other as we go through. So if I can show you that just by dragging the image across here, and you can see that at the moment it's behind those 2 text elements. If I want to reorder the timeline, I simply highlight the element I want and then click on it, and I can drag it to any new position. So now you can see it's come forward in front of the first bit of text, and I can take it over here and it comes in front of the second one as well. So I'm just going to pop that back at the beginning. So obviously, as I say, that's the order in which these events are going to take place. So I'm just going to put that back where it was before. Okay. So what I want to do now is have a look and see what this is going to look like. So I want to preview it. So if you look in the top right hand side, you'll see a play button. So if I click on that, it's going to go through and describe and show me the scribe as we've got it here. You'd notice that as it's drawing each of these elements, it's actually zooming in onto them, and at the end it zooms out like this. So each element has its own camera position, and you can actually change that and store exactly what camera position we want when that element is introduced. So we're not going to look at that now, but that is something that Joe's going to be taking you through in the next tutorial. For now, what I want to do is show you how to save your project. So there's various different save options. You can save your project online or locally, and also you can export to a scribe file. So I'll show you how to do those. So the save button is up on the top left, and actually what I'm going to do first is quickly show you how you can take a snapshot. So before I save it, this button here allows me to take a snapshot of my current view and save that as a PDF. So we can put that anywhere we want. Maybe I'll put that in pictures, and I could call that scene 1 maybe. So that's created a PDF of this particular screen. Back to saving. If I go into the save option again, to save locally, what I have to do is type in a name. I'll call it Help IT 1. We can choose the folder it's going to go into. And actually what I'm going to do is click on this button to create a new folder. So I'm going to create a folder specifically for my Help IT project. In a minute I'll show you how you can save online or you can export using these buttons, but for now I'm going to use the tick button. That's going to save locally. So that's saved. I'm going to exit the scribe now so I can go and show you a couple of other things. So the very top left is our exit button. It brings us back to the project screen, and we can see we've got our Help IT folder here, and inside there's our new scribe. So if I select that, we can now open the scribe if we click on the tick. But like I say, what I want to do is show you how we can also save this online. So if we click on the cloud button, what it's going to do is copy our scribe onto our online account. So this is really useful because it allows us to then access that scribe on any other computer that we're using, or in fact any other device. So if we had the iPad app, we could also access and use this scribe on there. So it's telling me that it's finished saving that online. And if I click on my online account button here, we can go in and we can see that the scribe is there waiting for us to use it. This will take me back to my local folders. And what I'm going to do is go back into this option here and show you now how you can export it. So far we've got a version saved locally, we've got another copy of that saved online. What we can also do is export it to a .scribe file. So that's this button here. If I click on that, I can then go and choose a location where I want to save this file. So in my documents I've got a little scribes folder, so I'm going to save it in here. And Help IT 1, I'll just keep that name and press save. So that creates an external file. What I can do then is I can put that on removable storage, I can email it to somebody, and in order to import it in, all we do is click on the import button down here on the bottom right. You then navigate to wherever your scribe file was, so we're here already. I'm actually going to import that scribe file there and show you that it's exactly the same as the one we saved locally. So when you do import a file, remember it's a really good idea to save it locally straight away because it's not actually saved as a local file at the moment. So I'm going to do that, and this time I'm just going to call it Help IT 2, and I'm going to put it in the same Help IT folder. So I've now got this new imported version also saved locally. The next thing I want to do is show you how you can add voiceovers and soundtracks to your scribes. We'll look at voiceovers first. So when you're doing this, there's various ways, various options you can use. The first way, and probably the way we'd recommend in most cases, would be to record your voiceover first. So you can either do that in VideoScribe, or you can use any other tool you want to record your voiceover, and then you can import it into VideoScribe, and then build your scribe to fit in with that voiceover. And we find that works really well. The other way would be to build your scribe first, and then play it and record the voiceover while you're viewing it. So I'm going to go into the voiceover option, and first of all you can see down here we have the option to import either from the web or from our browser our voiceover file. It needs to be an MP3 file, and if I go to my desktop, here we go, I've got a voiceover here that I could use. So that's one way of bringing a voiceover in. The other option is to record it inside VideoScribe. So if we click here, we then have this option, so we can change the recording device here. and like I said, we can show the scribe while we're recording. So to start recording, I just need to click on the record icon here, and as soon as I do that, it starts to play the scribe and it's recording what I'm saying as we go through. So you record your whole voiceover, and then when you're happy, when you've finished, you would then click on the tick button. That then stores that voiceover recording as part of the project. So you can see here that this icon is now highlighted. That's telling me we do have a voiceover with this project. And if I go back into here, we can see that the voiceover exists, and we can change the volume here. And if we weren't happy with it, we could delete it and then re-record it. So actually I'm going to delete this, as we're not going to use a voiceover with this particular scribe. So next I want to show you how you can add a soundtrack. So that's this one here. So if we click on the soundtrack button, again we have the option to import a soundtrack. So same as before, web or browser, and we can go into, for example, if I look in my music folder, there's a number of tracks there. So we can have a pre-recorded soundtrack that we can bring in and use. Again, it's an MP3. Alternatively, we can use the library. So VideoScribe comes with a library of lots and lots of different soundtracks. So you can look through these. There's various different ways you can sort through them here. They're categorized by their tempo. So if it's got one dot by it, it's a sort of more calm track. The more dots it's got, the kind of heavier the track is. So you can go through and you can preview by pressing on the play button, and you can listen to the tracks and see which ones you like the sound of. This one sounds quite good, so I'm going to select this one, and it goes up in this box here when it's selected. You can see the time of the track next to it here, but if it's not long enough, you do have the option to loop it. And also down in the bottom right, you've got the volume here. And again, you could delete it if you wanted to use a different soundtrack. So once you're happy with that, you can click on the tick again. So I can now preview that again. If I press the play button, it's going to play the scribe again, and you can hear that it's got the soundtrack playing at the same time. So I'm just going to stop that. We can move around the screen, and we'll show you more about how to do this in the next tutorial. But one very useful button is this one here. This is Fit All. So if you do ever end up zoomed in or off the screen or something, Fit All just brings everything back into view. Right, so next thing I want to show you is how to publish and share your project. So we've already got it saved locally and online, but if we want to share it with other people, we're going to have to create a video file. So in the very top right, we've got our Publish button. So if you click on that, we've got various publishing options here. So what we can do is just click on this one here, and it will immediately create a video and put it inside a PowerPoint slide so that you can use it with your PowerPoint presentations. Similarly, you can click directly on one of these buttons to send it straight onto your Facebook account or your YouTube account. Or this button here allows you to then create a file with particular settings. So let me just show you these options. So by default, we've got a WMV, Windows Media Video, and 640 by 480 is the resolution. If you've got the free trial, you'll only be able to use these default settings. But with the Pro version, you can use different formats, and you can also go and use high resolution. So you can go right up to 1080 high definition. You can also create QuickTime.mov files, Flash videos, and also PNG and JPEG sequences. So I'm going to create a QuickTime movie. I'm going to keep it at this lower resolution just to save a bit of time. The file name is here, and then underneath we can change the folder if we wanted to. So for example, I could go and put this in my videos folder. Click on the tick, and it goes off and starts to create that video for me. There's different video formats, as I said. If you create a WMV file, that will create quite a small file, which is quite useful. If you wanted to use this on YouTube, then we recommend you use Flash videos. That works very well. Or if you're going to take this into a post-editing tool and do any extra editing on the video, then we recommend you use the PNG sequence for that. So it's now finished doing that. It's created our video file and we can just accept that. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this first tutorial. I hope you found it useful. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to hand over to Joe, and he's going to be showing you how you can fine-tune your scribes by adjusting the timings and also setting the camera position as you go. And also he'll show you how you can import your own images.